This week on LTC News, Miss Cambodian American 2016. Performances from young audiences. And it's debate season. Stay with us. Welcome to LTC News. I'm Brian Dorrington, filling in for anchor Al Gentili. Lowell Community Charter Public School students from kindergarten through 8th grade were recently treated to performances by over 30 performers from a group called Young Audiences of Massachusetts. For over 50 years, Young Audiences has made curriculum come alive with performances by artists across the world to educate, empower, and inspire young audiences.
We are hosting the Young Audiences of Massachusetts for their fall showcase, which is an incredible opportunity that the young people at our school very rarely get to see live theater, live artists performing all of the various pieces that Young Audiences brings together in a context that has them very comfortable. They're with their friends, they're with their teachers in their own school environment and able to access live theater in a really exciting way.
The organization has been around for 55 years, providing arts for learning to the youth of Massachusetts. We are delighted to be here in Lowell at the Community Charter Public School with our annual showcase. We have 57 programs here today for the children, various grades, and the place is abuzz. When I think about what a storyteller is, it's the person who holds culture, it's the person who carries history, it's the person whose role in the society is to heal people, to entertain people. You know, because way before there were schools or books or libraries or the computer, the storyteller was the one who transmitted all that needed to be known. Emoni means I greet you with respect. All over the continent of Africa, when people greet one another, especially younger people greeting elders, they do this, and it's a sign of respect.
Promised Land is a metaphor for a better life, and we're telling the story of immigrants, immigration to America. So many people came here hoping to find a better life. So we talk about crossing the river, and in many cases that's another metaphor for coming from hardship to a better place.
American cultural history, civil rights, labor rights movement, these pieces of American history in which music was such a valuable tool to bring about change.
My name is Karim Nagy, and I am from Egypt, and I am now working for the Young Audiences for over 10 years. And what I do is I bring Arabic music, dance, and culture. And as an Arab person and as a Muslim, the greatest achievement I can think of is to introduce people in the United States, especially at a young age, things about Arab and Muslim culture. I really want to focus on things that they will not see on the television. Unfortunately, the news is preoccupied with the war on terror, refugee crisis, and things that are really too ominous for a young person to absorb. It makes people very scared as well. So my job is to show music, dance, culture from this part of the world that helps all ages, really, to be honest, all ages become less fearful of people from my part of the world, to stereotype us less, and to think of us as humans. And once we deal with each other as humans through music and the arts, it's much easier to have a healthy relationship. So that is my goal.
I really admire Young Audiences' effort to offer a very diverse program and a multicultural program. So for me, it's exciting to be able to share some aspects, experiences, ideas, language, and music and stories from my native culture, which is Chinese.
Don't miss LTC's full-length program on the Young Audiences Showcase, featuring interviews with several of the performers. Check the Channel 8 program schedule on our website, ltc.org, for dates and times. And now I'm going to toss it over to myself for the City Council synopsis. Hey, thanks, Brian. Welcome to the City Council synopsis for the meeting of October 12th, 2016. I want to apologize to all you Gentiliacs who were hoping that Al and I might be pulling a prank and switching hosting duties today. Unfortunately, that is not the case, and you're stuck with me for an additional 3.5 minutes or so. All right, let's take the advice of the great Fred Durst and get rolling. The council expressed opposition to question 2, which, if passed, would result in an increase in charter schools. City Auditor Brian Perry provided a report that suggested the passage of question 2 would adversely affect the city's finances. Perry explained that the charter school assessment continues to increase while the reimbursement back to the city remains relatively stagnant. The estimated net cost for the city's fiscal year 2017 budget is close to $17 million, which comes right off the top of the city's cherry sheet. I did some research, and a cherry sheet is the amount of state aid that is provided to the city. And just in case you're wondering, no, the cherry sheet is not scratch and sniff. Yes, I too am disappointed. I hear New Hampshire uses edible pizza paper, so step up your game, Massachusetts. Since this money comes in the form of a reimbursement from the state, it is subtracted from the city side, not the school side budget. City manager Kevin Murphy pointed out this money could be used for fixing things like streetlights, sidewalks, roads, and other municipal projects. Councillor Samaras worried that the loss of funds could potentially affect the hiring of police officers and firefighters. Councillor Milanazzo was blunt in saying that the proponents of question 2 are flat out lying to the people of the Commonwealth. Councillor Mercier said that while she believes choice in education is a good thing, there is already enough choice as there are 3 charter schools in Lowell. It should be pointed out, however, that while this money is being subtracted from the city side budget, it isn't technically costing $17 million to the city, meaning you hardworking taxpayers won't be asked to foot the bill for the loss of the $17 million in reimbursements. Trees were a principal concern for some Belvedere residents who worry that National Grid's proposal to install plastic gas mains along Glenwood and Eastview streets would negatively impact the neighborhood's linden trees. Residents want to make sure that if these gas mains are to be installed, that the trees and their roots will be protected. The Sustainability Council gave a report of progress at the Economic Development Subcommittee meeting. The mission of the council is to promote citywide sustainability by engaging community stakeholders through education, communication, and collaboration. The council will be holding its 2nd annual Sustainability Summit at their Enterprise Bank's Community Room on Saturday, October 22nd from 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. That's all for this week's episode of City Council Synopsis. Remember, that's just a sample of the meeting, and you can watch the meetings in their entirety at ltc.org and on channel 99. What are you doing? I'm doing the outro. Back to you, Brian. Contestants from across the country recently had a chance to compete in this year's Miss Cambodian American Pageant. The pageant is open to young women aged 18 through 28 who are of Cambodian heritage and attend or have graduated from college. Soben Pin takes us to Cambodia Town in Lowell for this report.
I'm at Sample Meals restaurant where contestants for the title of Miss Cambodian American 2016 are rehearsing for the pageant on Saturday, October 8th. Let's talk with some folks about this exciting event. Tell us, why did you join this competition?
Okay, well, I decided to do the Miss Cambodian American Pageant because I felt that it was very important as a young Cambodian woman to continue a culture that was almost lost during the Khmer Rouge. So my job as Miss Cambodian American, if I were to win, is to work with as many charities and organizations as possible that are already willing and wanting to help our country.
Tell us why you decided to join this competition.
At first, I decided to join this competition because I saw the prize package and I saw that you get a trip to Cambodia. And I'm Cambodian American. My parents survived the Khmer Rouge genocide, but I've never had the opportunity to go to my mother's country. I believe that being in this pageant has taught me a lot about who I am as a writer, an educator, and also as a young Cambodian American woman.
I grew up in Southern California, and we've kind of always had pageants there, and from time to time, not every year, but from time to time. And when I first moved here, and there was very few. I think I've only heard of like 2, but they're like smaller. But I've always wanted to do something that's on par with what American pageant would be like, but never forgetting that we are Cambodian and infusing like the Cambodian culture into the pageant program.
The reason why I came is because I wanted to prove to myself that I was capable of doing something more than of what I've already done in my life. And then another thing is I wanted to make my family proud. I wanted to give them a reason to hold their heads high when someone mentioned me. And then the other thing is I wanted to really work on a lot of different philanthropy. One that I really hold dear to my heart is Hearts Without Boundaries. And I worked with them back in college, so I would really like to work with them again.
So the 2016 Miss Cambodian American is Meili Nita Singh.
The winner was awarded cash prizes and the opportunity to travel to Cambodia. The Bay State Marathon is a huge event in the city. Deb Belanger of the Greater Merrimack Valley Convention and Visitors Bureau gives us the details in her Let's Go segment.
Welcome back to Let's Go with the Greater Merrimack Valley Convention and Visitors Bureau. And I'm your host, Deb Belanger. Today I am standing very close to the start line for the Bay State Marathon. On Sunday, October 16th, we will be hosting over 30,000 people from around the world for the 28th annual marathon. It's a flat marathon, it's a fast marathon, and it's a beautiful marathon. It starts here at 8 a.m. and it heads out along the Merrimack River, up through Tingsboro and back through Lowell for the marathon runners, and for the half marathon, it will run through Lowell along the Merrimack River and back down here to the ending point. We have people from all over the world that compete in this marathon. October 16th, come out and cheer these runners on. I'm personally in awe of everything that they do, so I'll see you then. Until then, take care.
This has been quite an interesting and even exhausting election season. The presidential race draws the most attention, but the local races are heating up too. Voters have a lot of choices to make on November 8th, and to help them decide, the Lowell Sun is holding several debates with candidates for state and congressional offices. Get the details in this week's SunSpot.
Hi, I am Jim Campanini, editor of The Sun, and welcome to this edition of SunSpot. My guest today happens to be one of my great editorial lieutenants and friend, enterprise editor and political enterprise reporter.
Yeah.
Christopher Scott.
Nice to be here.
Thank you, Christopher. Today, our subject is going to be the local election and the presidential race. But we're focused on the local election because we have some great state rep and state senate races that the Sun is setting up several debates that will be held beginning Monday, that we will be broadcasting through our video Facebook Live channel. The details will be in the newspaper, but it'll begin Monday, and then it will also be rebroadcast on Lowell Telecommunications. So as a partnership with them, we'll give them our videotape, and they will also run those debates. So now I'm going to turn over to Chris to give you the schedule. We've already got, I think, 4 races.
Well,
debates
we
set
have
up.
three nailed down. Hopefully later this afternoon we'll have 4, and maybe by the end of the week we'll have 5.
Okay, so why don't you tell the audience what we have scheduled?
So, excuse me, beginning on Monday at 10 a.m., we're going to be heading out to the Devon's Commerce Center, where we're going to be featuring Nikki Songus, who's seeking re-election as the representative from the 3rd Congressional District. Excuse me. Her opposition for the 2nd consecutive year is Ann Wofford. Ann is a Republican, a chemical engineer from Haverhill. So those two will be going at it at 10 a.m. at the Devon's Commerce Center. Out at Devon's, as always, the public is invited to attend. And then on the 19th, we're featuring George Similaris versus Mark Lombardo. That's the state rep race from Billerica. Unlike many of the state representative districts from around here, the state representative district in Billerica just includes Billerica. It's very concentric. It's just the community of Billerica, unlike Chelmsford, I think, which has about four state reps. That's going to be a pretty good race. George Similaris has made a lot of headlines for himself, some good, some bad. Mark is a Republican, seeking about his 3rd or 4th term. That is going to be at 7 p.m. at the Senior Center.
That's the Billerica Senior
That's Billerica, yes. The following night, we're going to be featuring really what I think one of the marquee races around here, and that's for the 18th Middlesex District. That's one of Lowell's 3 state representatives, that Roddy Mom, who became 2 years ago the first Cambodian immigrant to be elected to the state legislature. I think the first man of his kind to be elected to a state legislature in the country. He's facing opposition from Kamara Kay, who ran for school committee in Lowell 2 years ago. That's the following night at 6 o'clock at the Sun headquarters at 491 Dutton Street.
And Kamara Kay is the Republican.
Yep, Kamara Kay is the Republican, Roddy is the Democrat. And then we're working on 2 other debates. Our colleague back at the office, Tom Zuper, managing editor, is trying to get Barbara L'Italienne, the incumbent senator from the 2nd Essex Middlesex District. That's that kind of weird Senate district that includes Lawrence and Andover, plus, try to figure this out, Tewksbury and Drake.
Yep.
She's facing opposition from a Republican from Lawrence by the name of Susan LaPlante. That will be an interesting race because what's happened in Lawrence in the past couple election cycles often dictates who wins that seat. So we're working on that. And then I'm also working on a debate between Corey Atkins. I think this is the 14th Middlesex District seat. Mostly Concord and Acton, but it includes part of Chelmsford. I'm trying to get Corey Atkins versus Helen Brady, who's the Republican, and a Libertarian there by the name of Danny Factor. Trying to set that up for November 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, 1 week before the election, probably somewhere in Chelmsford. So we have 3 nailed down, and we're working on 2 others.
Yeah. Now that's an interesting race with Corey Atkins and Brady, because that's, once again, you get that scenario where Concord, Carlisle, and Chelmsford, right? You have precincts there. So it should be an interesting race. And so let me ask you: do you think these debates actually persuade voters either way? And especially the election this year, it's a presidential election, so the voter turnout should be reasonably high in Massachusetts. I don't know if it's going to set any records like it did in the 2 Obama elections, but you will get a larger turnout than normal.
Let's be honest. I think a lot of these state rep races, and same goes for local school committee and selectmen, they're popularity contests to me. I think the debates are informative. I think people, when we had the primary debate between Roddy Mom and the 3 Democratic opponents, we had about 15 100 people tuning in on Facebook Live. So people tune in, and people I think like to watch them almost for the entertainment factor. But I think that when you're talking about state reps and state senators, there are some of the folks around here in Greater Lowell that take care of the constituent services very well. And as long as they keep doing that, they don't face any opposition. I mean, let's look at in Lowell's 2 other state reps, Tom Golden and Dave Nangle. They don't have any opposition. The state senator, Eileen Donahue, doesn't have any opposition. Those are 3 people who are very popular. Golden's been in for a long time. Nangle's been there, I think, about going on 20 years. Eileen's the former city councilor. So as long as these men and women take care of business, they stay out of trouble. They don't get in any jams with any ethics. The seat is pretty much theirs, I think, for as long as they want it.
Well, I don't know. I don't
Well,
know
tell
if
me.
that helps our democracy and stuff. But I think, like you said, they are all reasonably doing a good job and stuff. And they seem to be balanced because they're working now with a Republican administration. Things seem to be going well. That bipartisanship,
particularly here in Lowell.
Yeah. So I want to just backtrack. I've been, as the editor of The Sun, I've been very, very proud of my staff and also that we are committed to doing these local debates. A lot of newspapers our size that have gone through consolidation like we have even given up. They don't even run these debates. They don't endorse for political office. I just think you lose your local voice when you do that. And even if we don't get big crowds, although they have been reasonably well recently.
They have been.
Because the people are energized in these communities. We do put them up, post them, video. It's one of the things that, when I first started at The Sun 20 years ago, you didn't have video. And now our digital presence on our lowellsun.com, you can go there every day. We post a lot of videos. We videotape these debates and some editorial board meetings and everything. So I think we do our due diligence and exercise to bring this stuff to the people, to hopefully inform them about making good decisions where they can see the candidates. But I still urge everybody, Monday's debate, I know it starts at 10 a.m. at Devon's Common, but that's going to be a pretty good debate. Nikki Songus and Ann Wofford. I mean, it's a rematch.
When we did that 2 years ago, we had about 50 or 60 people there from both sides.
How do you think that shapes up briefly?
I mean, again, I go back to what I said earlier. Nikki takes care of business. She's very popular. She'll dismiss Ann Wofford, who's a very nice woman, who's giving it a good college try. She feels strongly that, Nikki or the incumbent shouldn't have a free reign. So she's giving it another shot. She's hardly raised any money. Nikki's raised a lot of money. So Nikki will walk to another 2-year term. But the interesting thing about Nikki, and we've talked about this a little bit, is there's some chatter out there is, when is she going to retire? You've heard some things, I've heard some things. She says she's committed, she's going to go, term to term. But I think that looking into the future, we could be seeing some new faces stepping up there.
The thing that always has surprised me about this district, even when Marty Meehan held the seat, was that it's a district with that conservative Democrat and moderate Republicans make up it. I mean, it's not dominated just by liberal Democrats. The Republican, even a no-name Republican, remember that Mr. McCarthy that ran against Marty? He never even showed his face.
Right.
He still got 35 to 39% of the vote every time there was an election.
Right.
And Marty was very popular.
He was.
But there's people who would still just vote straight Republican or whatever, no matter what. So I don't think Nikki Songus is in trouble, and she's had a reasonably good 2 years, and plus with the presidential vote.
And she's carved some niches for herself too.
But Ann Wofford has certainly made some points, and I'm going to be moderating that debate. And one of my questions is going to be debate. who are they backing for president and why. So I'm sure we're going to get from Nikki Tsongas why she's backing
Gary
Hillary
Johnson?
Clinton. And we're going to, because Ann has already told me on the phone, unless something has changed in the last week with all the new revelations, that she is backing Donald Trump. She's standing by her man. So that's going to be.
We should just talk about the mom versus Kay just for a quick
Yep,
second.
let's just go to the.
You know, and this kind of fascinates me because here you have Roddy Mom, who's a Cambodian immigrant, came to this country when I think it was about 8 years old, didn't speak a word of English, became an acupuncturist and a physical therapist. He runs a local business up in Couples Square, gets elected to the state legislature. An incredible accomplishment. But yet, he's always got to be looking over his shoulder. Unlike the other reps and unlike the other senators from Lowell, I would think, and I don't think I'm going out on a limb saying this, that other members of the Cambodian community in Lowell would just be happy that they have one of their own serving in a high-profile post, but there's something going on in that community, and I can't profess to know what it is.
But unlike the others, I mean, unlike the like you mentioned, Golden, Nangle, and even Eileen Donahue, I mean, he is still a freshman legislator. He's gone for a second term right now. And that's usually when the challenges happen, because that legislator is most vulnerable. And there are divisions in both the Highlands and the Cambodian American community up there. So I think, you know, Roddy's got to work hard. He can't take anything for granted, right? Roddy Mom, and he's got a person in Khmer Kem who's you know, vocal. Vocal.
We should say about, you know, when in the primary that Roddy was in, he defeated Dave Willett, who ran against him 2 years ago. But he also defeated another Cambodian. Now, in all due respect to that Cambodian, Chet Kim, you know, Chet Kim is not Khmer K. Khmer K is much more established, and from what I can see, he's raised more money, he's got a higher profile, and he's more well-spoken on the issues. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of race, what kind of fight he can put up against Roddy Mom that Chet Kim couldn't.
Yeah. So I think that should be a good debate. There should be get a lot of local issues, and you know, I think one of the big key issues now is that Roddy Mom has adopted the Rourke Bridge as one of his key initiatives going forward, and the people are going to have to decide whether they think that his work is valid, and if he can continue to do that if he remains in the legislature. And Khmer K will certainly have his own initiatives. I know he's made a big point about education and other things. So it should be a pretty good debate. So we hope that you would follow along with the stories in the Sun, and also go to lowellsun.com and follow our videos of these debates that will be coming up. We'll have a story in the paper with all the debates, all the times in the schedule, so you could follow along.
That will be in tomorrow's paper.
Good.
Yeah.
Anything else, Chris?
No, that's it, Jim. Yep, sounds good.
Beautiful. So until our next edition of SunSpot, have a great week.
So that's it for this week's LTC News. As always, please send your comments and news story ideas to ltcn@ltc.org. I'm Brian Dorrington, and in the words of Al Gentile, be well.
This song's for you, Jack. This song's for you. This song's for you, Jack. This song is for you. On the holy highway light, we sink into the Lowell night. Dr. Freakin' to Smart, forget his name, is going to do a little music and blues singing. Well, pretty soon he's got the Godchild, is that his name? He's going to share with you his well-deserved fame. So we're going to end on time.